It is Thursday, the 28th of April. It is 6:01, and I'm calling the Finance Committee meeting to order. First item on the agenda are the meeting minutes from the 14th and the 21st.
So I'll make the motion that we approve the minutes of April 14th as documented on Google Drive.
Second.
Any questions, concerns, corrections? We have to take a roll call vote because Lynn is on Zoom this evening.
Excellent.
So, Lynn,
Yes?
we're approving April 14th, and is it yay or nay?
Yay.
Okay.
Charlotte, yes.
O'Malley, yes.
Purcell, yes.
And Narwhal, yes. Okay, they are approved. Okay, how about the 21st?
I'll make the motion that we...
You can't.
Well, I can make the motion, but I just can't vote,
Nope,
right?
you can't make the motion because you weren't here.
Okay.
I'll
not
make
making
the
a
motion.
I bet you can.
That we approve the minutes of April 21st as presented.
Second.
Any questions? Any corrections? Roll call vote. Lynn?
Winika, aye.
Charlotte, aye.
O'Malley abstain?
Purcell, aye.
Narwhal, aye. Okay. Great. So tonight's main purpose is to go through the budget and get that finalized. So I sent everybody the budget.
Yep.
And then today you probably got 6 or 7 emails from me on changes to the budget. Or concerns for the budget, whichever way you want to look at it. So, first and foremost, we'll go through the ones that we've already done. We adjusted the executive assistant salary for the town administrator to only a 2% COLA. That's the first one. Well, actually, all the changes are pretty much highlighted on your... Does anyone have any concerns with the ones that have already gone through the budget process? They're all in blue on the...
No.
Because I don't think we need to go through them. We discussed them all from here to Timbuktu.
Okay. Agree.
I mean, I think...
Do we have an assistant yet?
Huh?
Do we have an assistant yet?
No.
A new assistant? Okay.
So... Is everyone in agreement with the changes that we've heard, seen, done throughout the budget process?
Yes.
Are they these?
That is just what the changes are from his budget to our budget.
Right.
So, like for instance, we put more money in the zoning board of appeals. They asked for $650. We gave them $2,000 because that's going to help them fund their hopefully approved revolving fund. It's all the things like the veterans cut of $5,000, the cut of $54,000 to dispatch. So it's all of those kinds of things that we've seen
And discussed.
and discussed throughout the whole process. So does anyone have any discussion points or whatever before we go into the new ones and then start discussing the warrant?
But that's this sheet you just gave us, that's the way you have to have it, what everything
Yes.
is said.
That's the one that it, as of right now, that's the way it is.
Okay.
That's not to say that in 10 minutes it's going to change.
So the only
Based
question,
on those emails you sent, I think it's gonna.
reserve fund, what ended up in the reserve fund?
That we haven't changed that yet.
Okay.
That one will be in a minute. I just want to go
Okay.
make sure everyone's in
All right.
agreement to the changes that are on the budget as we've been going through it.
I didn't bring my magnifying glass. Just kidding.
Remember TVs that were a little small. Well, maybe you don't remember, the little, small little TVs, and they used to put this big magnifying glass up on it.
I
Yeah,
don't remember them.
Oh, my grandmother.
It was before my day.
okay. So, all right, then if you guys are all in acceptance of that, then we can now move on. I just want to make sure, because there's some people that aren't here yet, so. Okay, Darren's running a little late, he'll be here shortly. So. The health insurance is the first one that she told us that we need to up. Health insurance is budgeted for $865,471. She needs it to go to $868,321. And that's because turnover of employees, and we feel this is more of an accurate number. So, does anyone have an issue with changing our number from 865,471 to the 868,321?
When I read that earlier,
Mm-hmm.
the "we feel"
Yep.
language didn't make me feel all that confident.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in terms of, so their original request, it looked like, was 870.
Yep.
It got knocked down by 5 roughly,
Yep.
and now they're adding 3 back.
Yep.
I guess there's part of me that wishes I knew, is we feel like we're darn sure that's going to be it, or do they really need 4, or do they need?
Yeah, I don't think they know.
We don't know. They don't. It's I'm sure it's a bit of a moving target.
It is a bit of a moving target, and I would say that her backup, which I will pull up and see what we can see on here, because I didn't spend a lot of time reading it as it came in. Right as,
I guess one of my questions is, does this have the extra
it does.
family in it?
It does.
That's in the budget, right? Isn't that in the
Yes,
budget?
and in this budget, yes. So,
And what is that amount if we know it?
well, there's a lot of information on this page. And I did not print it.
Kind of all over the sheet, too.
Oh, yeah. So as of 4/1, this is based upon the actual enrollment of 4/1 plus 1 family. So,
I mean, in all reality, we could hire another person or two. In the year that changes it, we could have somebody leave, and that changes it. So
Right.
it's
Exactly.
so,
It's like
The
nailing
moving
jello to the
target.
wall.
yeah, exactly.
If it's a replacement, well, sometimes people change during the year too from not having insurance, but okay,
Yeah.
put that aside. Somebody leaves and they replace them, then that should be
Not
insured.
necessarily, because they might be on their
Right, no,
parents and or
right,
their
but I'm just,
spouses.
generally speaking.
Yep.
Well, let's just say, good scenario was that it is.
Yep,
I think it should be for what we have to do in here, leave this at what is required or what we know is needed now, and then let's look at taking the reserve fund and bumping that up a little bit more, so that if they do need it down the road, we can do that.
we have some extra funds, so to add the 3 isn't a stretch.
So as we start the conversation then, where are we with the extra funds
The extra funds,
in total?
by my calculations, it's roughly 80,000.
That's it, okay.
That's with 125,000 being used in free cash.
Right.
So They're not really extra funds. It's just, we could take that 88, 81, and this hasn't been vetted by the accountant, so I need him to look at this to
Right.
verify. I wouldn't feel comfortable in spending all of that. I would say we want to leave a chunk of that anyway. But,
But the 3,000 we're talking about here, the plus 3.
Right.
Would come from that 80.
yep,
Okay.
But you're saying that 80 is free cash.
yes, because we use 125 to do it. So we
So-
could take the 81 out of the 125 and call it a day.
So we're,
And then the budget's balanced and done, and it's less money that we have for as a structural deficit for next year.
right.
So we can do that, or we can remain with the 125 and shore up some of the areas that we know aren't quite enough. Snow and ice, fuel, reserve fund.
Well,
Those would be my suggestions.
well, see, but I think that's I think that's our responsibility, is to be able to look at what's reasonable. And if we feel that it's reasonable, that $3,000 may be something that would be practical to increasing the insurance, then we should probably do that. If they don't spend the money,
It goes to free cash.
so, again, as Ted was saying, it's a feeling, and if the feeling doesn't pan out, we'll just revert back to free cash. Okay,
So Alex, we're just talking about the change in health insurance that was sent to you last minute. Any other feelings? Should I change it? Should I not? Any strong feelings one way or the other? Because otherwise I'm just gonna put it in and we're gonna move forward to the next item.
I would
I
say,
like 3,000.
Where it is. That's my 2 cents.
She had it on that attachment, it's 43 actual plus 1 family. She's got the substantiation in there. It's actual enrollment as of April 1st, plus
Plus one.
the extra family, so.
You just asked me what I felt and what my strong feeling was.
I know.
just told you.
I'm just telling you, she has justified it.
It's fine.
I'm good with it too.
Okay. Okay. So, the next change is, I think we were all kind of feeling that we should add something to the reserve fund, because the reserve fund tends to go very quickly when we budget this close.
Right, so the reserve fund that we're talking about is the reserve fund in the FinCom budget, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the 25K.
That's $25,000.
All right, so we had 80.
Well, I would say, I would feel more comfortable saying 50, and then going forward, because the accountant hasn't seen this.
Okay.
I want to make sure that he's vetted everything.
All right, so you're saying that instead of 80, we have 50, and out of the
That's-
50,
yeah.
we took the 3 for.
I'd rather make
insurance.
sure that we have a cushion when there's a mistake.
Got it, okay, so now we're down to 47. And so it becomes a matter of what we want to put into the reserve fund. Do we have a number? Do you have a feeling for what you might?
Well, I know that when Karen Greenwood came in here, she said that she thought that she could give us the $5,000 back.
Mhm.
And Tommy suggested that maybe we put that in the reserve fund, so in case there did come another, we would have that to be able to spend.
Okay, but that $5,000 that would be coming back, that was part of, that was included in the budget. So now if it's coming back, is that part of the 80, or is that added to part
No,
of the 50,
she's-
or added to the?
She took out the 5
Okay.
out of her budget.
Okay, so right now we're at 50
50 minus the 3.
minus 3, and that includes the money that came back.
Yes, that
So-
50 is what helped, that 5 helped us get to there.
So is the 5, well, I mean, that's a, 20% increase in the reserve fund, right? If we add that.
Well,
fund.
as fast as we were gonna go through it this year, we were gonna do it with, I think, 3 requests.
Mhm.
And thankfully, they allowed ARPA funds to be used to cover it, because otherwise it would have all been gone and then some.
Yeah. So I guess I'm okay with, again, not my opinion. I guess I'm okay with adding the 5K in. I think I'd be okay with adding in a little more.
I think we should go to 35 there. myself.
I'm not disputing that at all.
Okay. Any strong feelings one way or the other?
Where's the rest of that money coming from?
What do you mean?
Bringing that to 35 from 25?
We have a surplus.
What-
We are using still free cash, so it's not truly a surplus, but
Okay.
we have to shore up some of these departments and allow us, when
This
we,
81 is reductions to the budget?
that is the surplus. Pluses and minuses.
But
It's
it's
a
not
surplus.
what you're looking at.
I don't feel confident in that 81 because I haven't had the accountant vet everything yet.
Right, so what you're really looking at is 50.
Yeah, I would feel more comfortable with a cushion.
This is from
All
current
of those-
fiscal year? Or,
That's,
No,
this is
budget
this
year,
budget
so,
year.
okay.
These are all the changes that we've gone through,
Right.
gotcha.
all these meetings.
Okay, thank you.
So we have a suggestion to change this to 35.
I agree with that.
Any strong feelings one way or the other? Discussions? Don't all speak at once.
Well,
I think
her,
it's a
the
solid
veterans
idea.
budget's actually down 10.8, it says here, right?
Who's this? That's from the budget. Who, the veteran?
Last year to this year, yeah.
That's the difference is from the town administrator's budget to our budget that we have to worry about right now.
No, it says over here, town budget was 25, this is 14.5.
Yeah, but the changes that we're looking at are the changes from the
Correct,
administrator.
no, I understand what you're saying,
Yeah.
right? Okay, all right.
So that brings us down to 27,000.
So everyone's in favor?
Yes.
Yep.
Aye.
Okay. Okay, so, my suggestion would be the other two would be snow and ice and fuel.
Are we doing those together or separately?
Those are separate, two different.
Let's do fuel first. Okay. So we got 27 grand left. What was, I remember the number that Joe was talking about, 30. And it was 30 this year.
Yeah, he's already got that money.
Right.
He got those from ARPA funds.
Right.
What I'm saying is if we chew this up, or add a little extra, not a lot, that we don't have tons, so it's only going to help us have less of a problem at the end of next year. If
Right.
this gas increases and fuel, heating oil increases continue, we're going to be upside down anyway. So
We can't deficit spend fuel, right?
no.
All right. So we need to fund that with what's reasonable, and then let snow and ice be reasonable and then deficit funded. Okay. So of the 27, I mean, again, I don't know what Joe might feel is reasonable, but
We're going to just put monies in, and it's only going to help them.
okay.
Because the way I look at it is reasonable. He's gonna be happy with anything more than what he has.
So let's split it.
Go ahead.
Are we better off putting more in fuel if we can't, because if we can't deficit spend the fuel, but we can the snow and ice, are we better off putting more in fuel?
Yeah. The only problem comes in where is you can do that. We can deficit spend it, but we're only allowed to. We still have to kind of true up our snow and ice closer every year. We just can't say it's $150 and then spend, $6 million. We get in trouble with the Department of Revenue. I forget exactly the exact terms that Joe has walked me through over the years. I just know that the more we put there, the better off we are. Because like this year, snow and ice deficit, we didn't have free cash to cover it.
Yeah.
So if it's a less of a,
Right.
if it's less, either way, so if we have a year where we don't see any snow or ice,
Yeah.
then it goes to free cash.
We still won't have enough in there, even if it was a really light year.
Right.
So,
So
I think you should add to both of them.
yeah, let's split it. I would suggest that we go 15 with fuel and 12 with snow and ice.
Okay. Any concerns, questions? Go ahead. You're not in school. You don't have to raise your hand.
There was an email that came out about the CIPC motion draft
Yes.
and using 73,590
Of free cash.
out of free cash.
Yes.
That's accounted for prior to this.
This has, free cash is as it stands now. So we're spending that out of the free cash, which was somewhere in the neighborhood of $241,000-ish.
So that's already accounted for.
2022 free cash, as opposed to 220.
Right, that's not in this budget. That's the savings account we have. That's that bucket of money that we can spend now until June 30th
Yeah.
with town meeting vote.
Okay.
So will that be at a special town meeting as we've done? Okay.
Nope. We changed that the year that we did the drive-in. We did one meeting, and it just seems to work better that way, that we just do one.
No doubt.
No.
Okay, so everyone's okay with 12?
Snow and ice. 15
No.
fuel.
No, I thought you said it the opposite way.
No, I said 15 in fuel.
Okay, 15 in fuel, sorry.
and 12 in snow and ice. That's our the remaining balance, 27.
Okay, so 98 is gonna be what's gonna be in fuel, and snow and ice. And we'll just put that on the fuel line, but I'll double check with him to make sure that he can move it wherever he wants.
Sure. His
And-
part.
Exactly.
And of course, he'll move it to the party line.
He'll move it wherever he needs to. I'm good with that. Okay. So guys, we have, if we want, we can spend, if to leave that budget, or we can leave it just as it is,
Right.
about $8,900. I don't know if it's worth it or just let it go.
$8,900 in what?
Say that again, yeah.
We have, so we had the 81, I thought it would be better to go, only keep it at 50, so that left 30, we now have 38,922 as a surplus.
Well-
And I don't feel comfortable spending that all, I don't, I'd say it's keep the 30 as a,
I mean, I would let anything possible roll into free cash, offsetting the free cash
Right.
deficit at
Yep.
this point. Because really, we're still deficit spending,
that is
Yeah.
correct,
even
Yeah.
with the 35 or 38, if
that
that's
is
how much it is.
correct,
Better to get that as close to zero.
exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what, when I hand this off to Dan, that's what I'll be telling him, so that, you know, he can adjust on the revenue side.
Have we addressed the, those are going, the firefighter gear and lease is going through
ARPA funds.
Okay.
Thank God for ARPA.
It's only gonna come back to bite us.
I was gonna say, that's,
Okay.
Still better than what we got.
That'll be somebody else.
Yep, yep. Okay, so everyone's in agreement. This is the final budget for fiscal year 2023.
At this moment.
Yes. Until
Yeah.
No, this is it. I'm gonna send this to Dan. He's gonna look at it, he's gonna bless it, we're done.
Okay.
Well, if that can happen, yeah, but unless something happens between now and then.
Okay,
Yep.
I'll send it off to Dan, and then he can look that over and make sure, because I want him to verify all the revenues and whatnot, because it always makes me feel better when Dan looks it over. Okay. So guys, now we gotta do the recommendations.
On the warrant.
On the warrants.
Okay.
We are required by law to make a recommendation on every article. Article 1, to hear the annual reports of the town officers and committees.
Make a motion that we recommend favorably on that article.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Any discussion? Roll call vote. Lynn?
Aye.
Rochelle, aye.
O'Malley, aye.
Ted?
Purcell, aye.
Vote aye.
Narwhal, aye. Okay. Don't make me remove the phone from your hand if you're not gonna pay
No,
attention.
I can't get my computer to boot up, so I'm trying to look at this thing on the phone.
Do you wanna use mine?
I don't have the one with money in it. Do we have the one
We
with
do not have the
money
one
in it?
with money in it because the budget wasn't finalized until just moments ago. Do you want mine so you can read the articles?
Actually, Pete just shared with me, so
Okay,
thank
because
you.
if you need it, I have it, so. Do you want it?
I didn't print
I'll
it
send
out,
you a
so.
bill.
Would you like to read mine? Do you have cooties?
I don't, unless you have to use it.
Do you have, I do, I need to be able to read it.
Well,
That's
then,
why.
okay, I'm going by the old one, this old
Yeah, but I
one.
have one here.
That's okay.
My goodness.
I can follow.
Make sure you.
No, that's okay, that's fine.
We got it here, hold on. All set? There you go. Okay, Article 2. To see if the town will vote to fix the salaries or compensation of elected town officers for fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2023. That's an issue, we need to get that fixed. It's already posted, we have to fix that. In accordance with Section 108, Chapter 41 of the general laws as amended, or take any action in relation thereto.
I make a motion that we approve, that the finance committee recommend approval.
What needs to be
Article 2.
fixed?
It's not fiscal year,
It doesn't say fiscal year. It says
Okay.
starting.
Oh, starting
fiscal
July
year
1st,
starting
okay.
July 1st, 2023.
okay, perfect. I wanna make sure, listen, last year there were a lot of these, I wanna make sure that when we're reading them, we don't get yelled at. Okay, so we have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay,
Dueling seconds.
But
Any
we don't have a list of those numbers right with us, do we? No.
No, we'll have them for the motions. It's just right now, they're all in the budget and until they're all blessed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any questions, concerns, discussions?
How
Roll
about
call.
how about paranoia?
Yeah, we got that.
Yeah.
So my paranoia is that the correct number ends up on the one that gets voted on.
The motion, yes.
Yeah.
We will double check that with the budget that once Dan blesses, I will send out and we can all check to make sure.
Well, so, let's talk logistics here. If there is a change, would we, I mean, if there is a change, do we make that change before the meeting?
Yes,
So we could go in and say, we don't recommend.
no.
If- No?
We have to pay the moderator, Board of Selectmen, Town Clerk, Board of Assessors, Board of Health and Planning Board
Okay.
in order to run the, so we have
So
to
my
pay them.
paranoia is more global to any of them.
Right,
And I
exactly.
get what Pete's,
Right.
I think,
We're gonna wanna vote favorably, and in the motion will be the amount, and we can verify the amount with the blessed budget once Dan blesses it.
Okay. So it doesn't matter to us that we don't know what it is now, other than it's in the budget.
Right,
Okay.
right.
and
This-
if for some reason on any of these articles, something came up until pretty much 4 o'clock on next
Right,
Saturday,
once he
we can
bangs the
change it.
gavel, we gotta start, and then, other than that, we can change it right up before,
Okay.
so,
I'm less paranoid now.
okay. Okay, Lynn?
Aye. Winika, aye.
Rochelle, aye.
O'Malley, aye.
Purcell, aye.
Vote aye.
Narwhal, aye, okay? Article 3. Oh, it's gonna be a long night. To see if the town will vote to raise such sums of money or utilize free cash as may be necessary to defray the expenses of municipal departments for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2022, and to determine whether the town will appropriate money therefore to be provided by taxation or by appropriation from available funds, or take any action in relation thereto.
Go ahead, Tom.
I move that the finance board would recommend favorable on this article.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay. Lynn?
Winika, aye.
Kushala, aye.
O'Malley, aye.
Purcell, aye.
Narwhal, aye. Article 4. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate a sum of money to defray the expenses of the Southern Worcester County Regional Vocational School Assessment for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2022, and to determine whether the town will appropriate money therefore to be provided by taxation or by appropriation from available funds, or take any action in relation thereto.
I move that the finance committee would recommend favorable action on this article.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, Lynn?
Winika, aye.
Kushala, aye.
O'Malley, aye.
Purcell, aye.
Oh, aye.
Narwhal, aye. Article 5. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate a sum of money to defray the expenses of the Wachusett Regional School District minimum local contribution for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2022, and to determine whether the town will appropriate money therefore to be provided by taxation or by appropriation from available funds, or take any action in relation thereto.
I move that the finance committee would recommend favorable action on this article.
Second.
Any discussion?
Which is the one I have to abstain from? Is it operations or this one? Or both? I think it's only operations.
Yes, because this one's a requirement regardless.
That's what I thought.
Yep.
We have 5, so you could theoretically abstain from all of them, right?
Right, we're fine, but yeah, no, it's fine, whatever, so.
You're saying because the salaries are in, this is in the local minimum contribution.
Right, but that's a requirement regardless.
Correct, but
Yeah.
what I was gonna say was he's not voting on something for himself. This is for everybody. It's the same. It's the salary, everything is fixed for everybody, so it's not like it's something special to him.
That's
That he
correct.
wouldn't be
This,
able to vote on.
this one is, the operations assessment, which is above and beyond, could benefit him, and therefore he's trying to make sure that he stays way out to make sure that he's not ever
That's fine.
assumed.
You can, but I don't.
Yeah, I get it, but he wants, so
I
that's always
understand.
been the one that you've
That's fine.
stayed away from.
Yep.
Okay,
It's fine.
any discussion? Okay, Lynn?
Winika, aye.
Kushala, aye.
O'Malley, aye.
Purcell, aye.
No, aye.
Narwhal, aye. Article 6, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate a sum of money to defray the expenses of the Wachusett Regional School District debt service assessment for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2022, and to determine whether the town will appropriate money therefore to be provided by taxation or by appropriation from available funds, or take any action in relation thereto.
I move that the finance committee recommend favorable action on this article.
Second.
Any discussion? Lynn?
Winika, aye.
Kushala, aye.
O'Malley, aye.
Purcell, aye.
Oh, aye.
Narwhal, aye. 7, to see if the town will raise and appropriate a sum of money to defray the expenses of the Wachusett Regional School District transportation assessment for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2022, and to determine whether the town will appropriate money therefore to be provided by taxation or by appropriation from available funds, or take any action in relation thereto.
I move that the finance committee would recommend favorable action on this article.
Second.
Any discussion? Lynn?
Winika, aye.
Kushala, aye.
O'Malley, aye.
Purcell, aye.
Oh, aye.
Narwhal, aye. Article 8, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate a sum of money to defray the expenses of the Wachusett Regional School District operations assessment for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2022, and to determine whether the town will appropriate money therefore to be provided by taxation or by appropriation from available funds, or take any action in relation thereto.
I move that the finance committee would recommend favorable action on this article.
Second.
Any discussion? Lynn?
Winika, aye.
Rochelle, aye.
O'Malley, aye.
Purcell abstain.
Mow it, aye.
Narwhal, aye. Okay. Okay. Article 9, to see if the town will vote to accept the Wachusett Regional School District Regional Agreement as amended on March 7th, 2022 by the Wachusett Regional, I think this is, shouldn't this be WRSD?
Yeah.
Carol?
Washington Union School.
Yep.
Yeah.
School committee also on file with the town clerk or take any action in relation thereto.
Now, that's odd. Would you, that was 9?
Yep.
Yeah.
Make a motion that the finance committee votes or recommends favorably on Article 9.
Second.
Failing us now.
What? I'm sorry.
Okay.
This isn't what this says.
Huh?
It's okay. Nothing?
That one isn't the one?
Oh, that's right.
Oh,
All
did
the
I
numbers
open up
got
wrong?
moved.
No, I understand that. That's
Yeah.
what I have written down there.
Yeah. Any discussion? Has anyone had the chance to read it? Because it's changing it to a weighted
Right.
vote.
Yeah, that's, I mean, I read it, I guess I don't really totally understand it, but if that's the way they wanna run the business.
So Carol, was that something that was discussed at your regional
So,
meetings?
It's always been weighted by the number of school committee members each town has.
Right. And that's not changing?
Based on population. That's not changed.
Okay.
Some of the pieces, I think, may be 2/3 votes, but it does seem to be a little tilting more favorably toward the towns.
Okay. Because it
Yeah.
wasn't clear,
Please.
when you read through the regional agreement, it wasn't clear as to, I mean,
They are decreasing by attrition the number of school committee members across all the towns.
so how
So
many of
instead
it?
of having, I think they're gonna end up with 16, today's numbers
Yeah,
would look like 16, but it's by attrition,
okay.
not by
So when their
Fire.
term ends, they would
their
not be
ending.
replaced.
They're not being
They
replaced.
wouldn't.
Okay.
But of course, that, by the time we get through the 5 years, population goes up. Who knows what
Right.
it's
Yeah.
gonna do, but-
Well, the amount of people that we have now, it's almost, it's pretty
I
difficult
think it's
to,
from 22 or 23 down to 16.
yeah, because I want to say we're at 23, 24 at this point. so-
This is the article that was not in this other one. you
Correct.
That is
passed.
correct.
Okay.
Yep.
That's why I was messed up.
Yep, that was not, and it was remembered
Now we figure.
last minute that we had to
Right.
add it, so that's what they did.
Right.
So
Okay,
it's not really a radical change.
no,
I know at some point in time, it's been proposed that there be one member from each town and they have a 3/5, whatever,
weighted vote.
weighted vote,
Yeah.
which would be a radical change.
Wow, I guess so.
okay. So we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Okay, Lynn?
Winika, aye.
Rochelle, aye.
O'Malley, aye.
Purcell, aye.
Mow it, aye.
Narwhal, aye. Okay. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate a sum of money as may be necessary to defray the expenses of debt service for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2022, and to determine whether the town will appropriate money therefore to be provided by taxation or by appropriation from available funds, or take any action in relation thereto. I'm going to be saying this all day tomorrow.
Yeah.
I move that the finance committee would vote to recommend favorably on this article.
Second.
Any discussion? Lynn?
Winika, aye.
Rochelle, aye.
O'Malley, aye.
Purcell, aye.
Mow it, aye.
Narwhal, aye. Okay. Article 11, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate a sum of money to operate the water and sewer department for fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2022, or take any action in relation thereto.
I move that the finance committee would recommend favorably on this article.
Second.
Any discussion? Lynn?
Winika, aye.
Rochelle, aye.
O'Malley, aye.
Purcell, aye.
Mow it, aye.
Narwhal, aye. 12, to see if the town will vote to appropriate the sum of $106,632 from water and sewer retained earnings, free cash, for the purpose of paying the fiscal year 2022 debt service obligation resulting from the permanent borrowing of water and sewer infrastructure improvements or take any action in relation thereto.
I move that the finance committee would recommend favorable action on this article.
Second.
Any discussion? Lynn?
Winika, aye.
Rashala, aye.
O'Malley, aye.
Purcell, aye.
What would I?
Narwhal, aye. Okay. Article 13, to see if the town will vote to appropriate a sum of money from the PEG Access and Cable Related Fund to fund PEG Access and Cable Related operations for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2022, and further that at the close of the fiscal year to provide that all unspent funds shall be closed back to the PEG Access and Cable Related Fund or take any action in relation thereto.
I move that the finance committee would recommend favorable action on this article.
Second.
Any discussion? Len?
Winika, aye.
Rashala, aye.
O'Malley, aye.
Purcell, aye.
What would I?
Narwhal, aye. Okay, Article 14, to see if the town will vote to appropriate a sum of money for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2022 for the capital equipment, buildings, facilities, and other projects and authorize the Board of Selectmen to take by eminent domain, purchase, or otherwise acquire any fee, easement, and/or interest in land necessary therefore, determine whether the funding shall be provided by tax levy or by transfer from available funds, by borrowing, or by any combination of these methods. And further to authorize the Board of Selectmen to apply for, accept, and expend any federal or state grant funds or private donations that may be available for such capital improvements, and to take such other action as may be necessary to effectuate the vote taken hereunder, or take any action in relation thereto.
I move that the finance committee would recommend favorable action on this article.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, I guess the only question I have is the note that you sent out that came from Gary that said 14 was changing, where they were talking about the,
The email was, we're gonna take 71 from free cash, and we were gonna take it from ARPA funds, but then they decided to take it from free cash.
okay. So, but the Article 14,
Mhm.
it said in the note, it says Article 14, and it said that he made amendments to Article 14, if I read it correctly.
He had to give us specifics as to what Article 14 was, because last week they had no idea what this was for.
Right.
And so this week we now found out that it's for the electrical service, NAQUAG, and I forget, there was something else. But,
Okay. That's the electrical switch, and then the sewer service truck with plow.
there you go.
Okay, so what will be the article? The 14 that's on this paper, or the 14 that's
The
here?
article stays this.
Okay,
The motion will be written such that they probably will state the specifics.
okay.
Yep.
Okay.
The articles don't state the amount, the motions state the amount.
Okay.
It's Leah, if I may.
Yep.
I had asked specifically about this one. I forget who I was talking with, but I think in the past, if we've taken any action under this article, I think that's usually as a chart as to like, this capital item is going to be funded by free cash. Mostly it's by free cash. So I think that that's how the motion would look. I'm not 100% sure, and I haven't had a chance yet to go back and look at previous years where we've had capital expenses that were funded from free cash in the budget.
Right. So the motion document will have the specifics. Because that's the whole thing. The articles stay very bland and boring.
Okay.
It's the motions that are the meat of the material.
And the amount that this article motion would account for is,
It's all coming from free cash,
it's all coming from free cash.
whether it be sewer free
We-
cash
and
or
we
our
had-
free cash.
For this year, we had 202 and a quarter.
$241,000.
Okay, almost 2.5 thousand. This now is going into next year's free cash.
No, this is from this year's free cash.
It does, for the fiscal year beginning July.
I think if I read I'm looking at the motion here, and in here it says for the use in the FY23 capital budget. So we're voting
Okay.
FY22 money to be used in 23. Is that
I believe so,
correct
yes, it's gonna be
interpretation?
earmarked in the article, therefore the FY 2022 money can be put aside to be able to be used in 2023.
So it doesn't affect the 81?
It does
now,
not.
Now the 50, okay.
Nope.
Good, good.
Any other discussion? Concerns, questions? Lynn?
Winika, aye.
Rochelle, aye.
O'Malley, aye?
Purcell, aye.
Vote aye.
Narwhal, aye. Article 15, to see if the town will vote to authorize the Board of Selectmen to apply for, accept, and expend any grants or donations from state or federal governments, private agencies, individuals, or institutions, or take any action in relation thereto.
I make a motion that the Finance Committee would recommend favorably on this article.
Second.
Hey Karen, Darren just joined on Zoom. FYI.
Yeah, he just texted me.
Oh, okay.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any concerns, questions, discussion? Lynn?
Winika, aye.
Darren?
Ross, aye.
Oh, Rochelle, aye.
Good, we're gonna be able to get out of here tonight. O'Malley, aye?
Purcell, aye.
Vote aye.
Narwhal, aye.
Sorry.
Article
Broke
6.
the flow, Darren.
I know.
Article 16, to see if the town will vote to authorize the Board of Selectmen to enter into contracts for goods and services with duration in excess of 3 years under the provisions of General Law, Chapter 30B, subsection 12B, or take any action in relation thereto.
I move that the Finance Committee would recommend favorably on this article.
Second.
Any questions, concerns? All right, Lynn,
Winika, aye.
Darren,
Ross, aye.
Rochelle, aye.
O'Malley, aye?
Purcell, aye.
Vote aye.
Narwhal, aye. Article 17, to see if the town will vote to appropriate all funds which become available in the fiscal year 2023 from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Department of Highways, Chapter 90 bond issue proceeds to be used by the DPW for the repair and maintenance of town roads in conformance with Massachusetts general laws, and further that the town vote to raise said appropriation by borrowing and authorize the town treasurer with approval of the Board of Selectmen to issue bonds or notes of the town, therefore in anticipation of the receipt of said state aid, or take any action in relation thereto.
I move that the Finance Board will recommend favorably on this article.
Second.
Any questions, concerns? Lynn,
Winika, aye.
Darren,
Ross, aye.
Rochelle, aye.
O'Malley, aye?
Purcell, aye.
Vote aye.
Narwhal, aye. 18, to see if the town will vote to amend the town's zoning bylaw by amending text references in Article 3, Use Regulations, Section 8A9 and Section 11A, and Article 9, Administration and Enforcement, Section 64B3, as set forth in the handout titled May 7, 2022 Annual Town Meeting Zoning Bylaw Technical Corrections, Article 19, also on file with the town clerk, or take any action in relation thereto.
I thought that was just, 18 was gonna, that one was just gonna be revolving funds, no?
Nope. 18 is the zoning bylaw.
Oh, that's the, okay.
If I may.
Yep.
There is a typo in that. That was Article 18. Should say Article 18 within the text, not refer to Article 19.
Oh, yeah.
That is, KP is aware of that. And we're
Okay.
making sure how we handle that. We think it's just to
Hmm.
make the edit on the floor, but.
Okay. Do you have a motion?
Motion, I move that the Finance Committee recommend favorably on this article.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, Lynn,
Winika, aye.
Darren,
Ross, aye.
Rochelle, aye.
O'Malley, aye?
Purcell, aye.
Vote aye.
Narwhal, aye. 19, to see if the town will vote pursuant to the provisions of GL Chapter 44, Section 53E and a half, as most recently amended, to establish fiscal year 2023 spending limits for the revolving funds listed in Section 6, of the bylaw of the same name, all as set forth below, with such expenditure limits to be applicable for each fiscal year until such time as town meeting votes prior to July 1st in any year to change the same for the ensuing fiscal year, provided, however, that at the request of the entity authorized to expend such funds, the Board of Selectmen, with the approval of the Finance Committee, may increase such limit for that fiscal year only, all as set forth below. Animal Control, 6,000, Board of Health, 60,000, Planning Board, 75,000, Recreation Department, $210,042, Safe Place, $206,608, Tax Title, 5,000, and the new Zoning Board of Appeals, 5,000.
So those two, just those two were taken out of that we talked about.
Right, the only one that's left in there is Zoning Board of
I move
Appeals.
that the finance board would recommend favorably on this article.
Second?
Question, where is the bylaw? Carol,
It was removed.
I thought we had,
So the bylaw that currently is online, I've done some looking at, not all of these are listed. Anyway, but that's a KP question that we're asking.
okay. So guys, we're gonna be probably, potentially be seeing some changes to this, we'll see. Okay, so you still recommend favorably?
Yes, but what you just said is referring to the Board of Appeals, correct?
Yes,
That was supposed to be, that was this other,
that bylaw.
right. That's why I was asking before that.
Yep.
Didn't see, okay.
Any other discussion? Lynn,
Winika, aye.
Darren,
Ross, I.
Rochelle, aye.
O'Malley, aye.
Purcell, aye.
Vote aye.
Narwhal, aye.
So that was 19, right?
Mhm.
Okay, Article 20. To see if the town will vote to accept Teresa Drive as a town public way as laid out by the Board of Selectmen and recommended by the Planning Board as detailed below, and to authorize the Board of Selectmen to acquire by gift, purchased. Let's just move
As
on
written.
for as written, because I'm not gonna read all this. I will be here all night reading
As
this.
printed.
As printed. Okay,
Okay.
yep.
I make a motion that the finance board would recommend favorably on this article.
Second?
Okay, we received an email today from David George that I sent out last minute. I don't know if, this is the one that was on last fall. Is this the one that was on last fall?
No, Teresa Drive is Maple Hill.
Okay, so Woodside is the one that we did last meeting that we had to just do for specifics.
There's two, because Woodside is in there for phase 2 right now, and then the other Woodside is phase 1 from last year. Phase 2 should also include Oakley
Okay,
Drive.
okay, perfect. Okay, perfect. Okay, so the planning board is meeting before the town meeting to ensure that all of the small details are done. So we can make a recommendation, we can change that recommendation right before the town meeting if said items are not addressed.
And that's for Teresa?
That's for Teresa.
So I guess I don't understand. They're meeting, in essence, to say that they're going to approve that,
They have
Sorry.
contingently approved this now.
okay,
There were some small items, and it's all in Dave's
right.
thing.
But the-
So
but the
they
point
will
is-
be meeting right prior to the town meeting to ensure that everything is done,
Yeah.
and then let us know, and if anything's not done, we can change.
Well, so the change would be that the article, the motion wouldn't be made, right? Is that right?
No. It's
So-
been placed, we have to make a recommendation.
Okay, but,
We would change our motion
Recommendation.
to
And the planning board
unfavorable.
would change theirs.
And if
Okay.
planning board changed theirs, and then somebody would either make this motion to have it voted down, or somebody would say, we'll take no action on this article.
And so
Okay.
we would then, we have a motion and a second for favorable. If the planning board votes that it's not acceptable, that
Right.
their things aren't done, then they would come and tell us, and then we can vote to change ours.
got it.
So, when we say the planning board is gonna meet before town meeting,
Mhm.
is that like the hour before, like we're gonna do.
Yes.
It's a half an hour before, but yeah.
So
Hot off the press.
we'll be doing the same thing just in case.
Yes, exactly. Okay, any other discussion? Lynn,
Winika, aye.
Darren,
Ross, I.
Rochelle, aye.
O'Malley, aye.
Purcell, aye.
Would I?
Narwhal, aye. Article 21. I move, well, we can all read Article
Right.
21 as written, so, go ahead.
Okay, so this is the Woodside Ave and Sedona Circle.
That is correct.
Okay, so I'd make a motion that the Finance Committee would recommend favorable action on this article.
Second.
This is the one that's left over from last. So this is the
No,
one
it
that,
isn't.
huh?
Yes, it is.
It says 22 in his email from today.
That's because there's probably,
Sedona Circle was part of phase one. That was approved at the 2021 town meeting, but the town didn't complete the paperwork within 120 days, so it has to be re-voted. The one for Oakley, Woodside and Oakley is the current one for phase two.
so he might have received an older set, who knows, on this. She's the one that, she sits at the planning board meeting, so.
Yep.
So we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
So I couldn't unmute myself last week's meeting between.
Should have raised your hand, we would have
Yeah,
helped you.
well, I couldn't do that either because I was in so much pain that I couldn't move my hand. But anyway, I decided to go drive and find out why Woodside Ave started in two different places because it seemed insane to me. I think I understand now. They don't connect.
Right.
And that's why. But at some point, they planning to connect them?
You'd have to check with the planning board on
There's
that.
one Woodside Ave when you're coming down off Turnip Hill.
One starts off Main and one starts off Sharnak Hill.
Correct, yeah.
And they don't meet.
Eventually they will, but that's the last phase. I think it's phase 5 that they.
I'm sure someone's going to ask that question at the town meeting.
The good news is that's the
We
planning
don't have
board's
to answer it.
responsibility.
All right.
We don't have to answer that one.
That's right.
And that's when we look at Norm Anderson and go, yeah, but.
There you go, everybody.
Okay, Lynn,
Winika, aye.
Darren,
Ross, I.
Rochelle, aye.
O'Malley, aye.
Purcell, aye.
Would I?
Narwhal, aye. Okay, Article 22, which is to accept Woodside Ave and Oakley Circle.
Article 22. I move that the Finance Committee would recommend favorably on this article.
Second?
Again, this is just like the other one. They're gonna meet ahead of time just to make sure everything, the little things are done. Okay, any other discussion? Lynn,
Winika, aye.
Darren,
Ross, I.
Rochelle, aye.
O'Malley, aye.
Purcell, aye.
Would I?
Narwhal, aye. Okay, Article 23, to see if the town will vote to accept MGL Chapter 59, Section 5, Clause 22G. In any city or town that accepts this clause, real estate that is the domicile of a person but is owned by a trustee, conservator, or other fiduciary for the person's benefit, if the real estate would be eligible for exemption under Clause 22nd, 22nd A, 22nd B, 22nd C, 22nd D, 22nd E, and 22nd F, if the person were the owner of the real estate. And do I have a motion?
I move that the Finance Committee would recommend favorable action on this article.
Second?
Any discussion? Lynn,
Winika, aye.
Darren,
Ross, I.
Rochelle, aye.
O'Malley, aye.
Purcell, aye.
Would I?
Narwhal, aye. Okay. Article 24, to see if the town will vote to accept the provisions of MGL Chapter 53, Section 9A, to provide that the final date for obtaining blank nomination papers for nomination to town office shall be 48 weekday hours prior to the hour on which nomination papers are required to be submitted to the registrars of voters for certification or take any action in relation thereto.
I move that the Finance Committee would recommend favorable action on this article.
Second?
Any discussion?
So, we had a couple of questions the last time we talked about this. Did we get those answers, or do we understand?
That's what we got.
That's that sheet right there?
Yeah. Pretty much.
Why would this matter to us at all? What happened on this article?
We're required to give a recommendation on every article.
I understand that, but we could vote no action.
Well, no, because, well,
You're right, we could.
we could, but
Is it just a technicality for the state that we have to do this?
No.
No.
this is something the town clerk wants, right?
Yes.
So what you've probably got is someone deciding very last minute that they want to grab some papers, run around, get a bunch of signatures, and create last minute work for people.
But it's not last minute work, because you can get them 2 weeks before and drop off and have them and still drop them off the last minute before to certify it. I mean, the thing is, handing out a blank nomination form, I think, is easier than the certification process. And
I guess that's what I was asking, was that we had that question, like
Yep.
you had said that,
and we did not get the answer.
and this doesn't have the answer, but
Nope.
I think, I just wanted to say, going to Darren's question, I think the recommendation on these articles and the reason for it is there could be a financial implication to the town down the road, the next, whatever. There's, every action that's taken, there's usually some kind of a financial implication for the town, no matter what it is.
Well, if it involves work of people in the town, it's
Right.
going to have an impact.
So we have a motion and a second for favorable. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Okay, Lynn,
Winika, aye.
Darren,
Ross, aye.
Rochelle, aye.
O'Malley, aye.
Purcell, aye.
No, would I?
Darrell, aye.
So that was 24, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
24.
25, to see if the town will vote to fund with a sum of money from water and sewer retained earnings a project that recovers the current residuals management system at the water filtration plant and updates operations going forward to comply with state and federal requirements.
I make a motion that the finance committee would recommend favorable action on this article.
Second.
Any questions, concerns, discussion? Lynn,
Winika, aye.
Darren,
Ross, aye.
Rochelle, aye.
O'Malley, aye.
Purcell, aye.
No, would I?
Narwhal, aye. Article 26.
You gotta read this.
Article 26. This is the zoning bylaws in regards to major home occupations. And we received today from David George, the minutes, the section of the minutes that pertain to this. So I would entertain a motion.
I make a motion that the finance committee would recommend favorable action on this article.
Second.
Any questions, concerns?
Who else reviewed this? Did the planning board look at it?
Planning board has done it. Yep.
Did they say yes, no, backwards,
They
forwards?
have recommended favorably on the citizen's petition submitted by George Carizzi.
And do we know what the major changes from an existing petition is?
It's on file with the town clerk, and it's listed on the planning boards. You got it all in the email. I didn't read through
Oh,
it.
I didn't read, okay.
I didn't go to see what, it's all there online, and then it's here. In the past, we have not made favorable or unfavorable, we've said no action in the past on citizens' petitions. That being said, I'm just letting you know that's what we have done in the past.
So this is to obtain special permits, so it's not like it would be a permanent home occupation. It'd just be a special permit for a period of time, right? Am I understanding of this?
It's supposed to be for a special permit for 2 years.
I think that's once it's granted, it's granted.
Yeah, I would think.
It's hard to ungrant.
You said for 2 years.
Yeah, you go every 2 years, but once you've granted it, it's kind of hard to yank it. I know personally, the citizens petition not going through the zoning bylaw committee, I feel that it hasn't gone through. They rush the meeting. They don't go through all of the things. They get, I think it's 20 signatures to get it on?
12, I believe.
12. 12 signatures to get it on. It hasn't really been fully vetted. That's my opinion.
Abutters aren't.
Right, they haven't been told, they rushed the town meeting, the meeting. It was held April 12th.
Well,
The town, what town?
If I may,
The-
abutters were notified, it was held
Okay.
as a public hearing.
Okay, yeah,
so
it was,
abutters didn't.
okay, so, but it was rushed. April 12th was when the planning board had the public hearing on it.
But then they voted favorably.
They did,
Okay.
yes.
If the finance committee voted unfavorably on it, I would have a different opinion. But if they are in support of this, I don't see why we would go against them.
I'm sorry, Darren, you said at the finance committee?
Excuse me, if the planning board
Got it.
voted favorably on this, why would the finance committee have any other opinion than favorable?
I agree.
If they had a different opinion of it, I would definitely stand the fight with them.
Does this affect, or could it be affected at all by the town bylaw review?
This is a zoning
Or lack
change,
thereof.
so the town bylaw committee is bylaws, not zoning.
Not so. So there's no.
Yeah, the zoning goes under just the planning board. Correct.
They have a zoning
Right.
subcommittee.
Yep.
Okay. Any other discussion? Lynn?
no, Winika, aye.
Darren?
What was can I reread the motion, please?
The motion was favorable.
Ross, aye.
Rushala, aye.
O'Malley guy.
Purcell, aye.
What would I?
Narwhal, nay.
Okay.
Article 27 is the citizen petition for residential R60 to business. Just so you are aware, the planning board closed the hearing and did not move forward with a favorable.
So there's been no planning board recommendation?
They did not move forward with a recommendation.
Okay. Tony, do you want to do something? You want me to?
Well, I'm trying, I don't understand the whole thing here.
It's like it's changing a piece of land from light
1,200
industrial
acres.
to
That's a lot of land.
business.
And the planning board didn't do anything
No.
with it?
They closed a public hearing and did not make a recommendation.
Interesting.
So that's the same as no action.
Right.
And we have no idea why, right?
Well, see, that's what we just don't get the information, so we can.
It's all right here.
I put it in
It's right
the
here.
minutes.
No.
Norm felt that the improvements to the zoning map can be made, but it should be ensured that there is minimal, it's 1,200 acres, minimal impact to existing residential homes. There was hesitation to recommend this change based on one person's ideas. So they didn't say that they wanted it to be more open and more vetted than what it is.
Mhm.
I mean, from the time this was given to them on April 5th to now, it's not a lot of weeks to vet it. Then the 1,200 acres of changing from residential to business could be tough.
You say Norm's thing, that was one of the emails that
Yeah.
you had sent? I didn't see the back end of Well, I guess my comment right now would be that if the planning board is the one that are the zoning overseers and suggest and vote on zoning changes and zoning affairs, and they didn't do anything with it, I'll make a motion.
Go ahead.
I would make a motion that the Finance Committee would vote unfavorably on this article,
Second.
or recommend unfavorably on this article.
Second.
Any discussion? Any discussion? Do you want to read it? You want to read it here?
Read what?
The minutes?
Oh, no, I'm
just Okay.
trying to look at the map.
Oh, okay.
I'm trying to find news and announcements at the link he said they were at, and I don't see it, but
There still seems to be a referenced map missing, so I did talk to Gary about that today, see if they could have that ready for people.
Well, so, I mean, from my perspective, the reference map is good information, but if the planning board didn't do anything with it,
news and
why would we?
announcements.
Right. And you say this was submitted by a citizen
Yes.
to be, I wish they got the signatures to get it on the warrant, but, okay. No.
Okay. Any other discussion?
So, yes, please. So the planning board, by what they did, voted no action, or did they vote negative?
No action because they didn't make a motion.
They did nothing.
They did nothing.
They closed the hearing and did nothing, so that's no action.
So are we better off doing the same thing in support of them?
Well, I think that isn't a recommendation not to approve, or approve.
I would say not to approve, because we think this
Yeah.
should have more vetting, like you just
Yeah.
said. Should be a lot more review of it
Yeah.
before it happens.
I think that's a stronger statement.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay?
So the motion is nay, we would vote
Unfavorably.
Well,
unfavorably.
it's
So
yes
we-
to vote,
So we'd recommend that the town take an unfavorable, so vote no.
Right.
no.
Okay,
We vote yes.
that was my question.
Motion is to
We vote yes to
recommend
Tommy's
unfavorably.
motion.
Right.
We vote yes, but we're saying the recommendation is to tell the town to vote no.
Correct.
So I'm saying yay to this?
Yes.
Yes, because you want to say that if you agree that we should recommend unfavorably on here, then you vote yes.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Winnicott, nay. Yes.
Which one?
I'm foggy.
All of the above, in between,
Do you agree with Tommy's motion?
Yes.
Okay. Darren?
Yes, aye.
Rochelle, aye.
O'Malley, aye.
Purcell, aye.
Why would I?
Narwhal, aye. Article 28. This is the zoning bylaw. I can read this one. To see if the town will vote to amend the Rutland zoning bylaws by adding Article 3 of the zoning bylaws of the use regulations, Section 10A, Village Center, VC District, subsection B, for uses allowed by right in the VC District. I would like a new section added to include automobile sales and repair, motorcycle repair, sales, and sales. And the just so you know, the planning board said that this is already allowed in the town center district. So, and it was they agreed that this should be a change.
And what did they said that,
Favorably.
they said favorably
They
on
did.
it? The planning board said favorably. I move that the Finance Committee would recommend a favorable action on this article.
Second.
Any discussion?
If it's already allowed, why?
It isn't. It's allowed in the
different
town
town.
center district,
Sorry.
not the village center.
And is the village center down 122?
Down here, Four
Barry
Corners.
Paxton Road, like
Okay.
Four Corners area.
Okay.
Okay? Lynn?
Winnicott, aye.
Darren?
Ross, aye.
Rochelle, aye.
O'Malley, aye.
Purcell, aye.
Why would I?
Narwhal, aye. And guys, we're done.
What?
7:16. Yes.
We didn't do Article 29.
We don't have to. We don't ever do anything on that. That's where he stands up and says who's gonna be what and where.
Righty then.
Can't we vote on favor?
Do we want to discuss that other email you got today from the fire chief? Did you already discuss that?
That was a CIPC?
Yes.
Yeah, that was, Article 14.
Okay,
And we voted favorable on that one.
thank you very much.
Yep. Okay, so I would entertain, first, before we entertain any more motions, we do have a meeting next Thursday.
Okay.
I'm expecting that it's going to be an extremely short one. If we can cancel it, we will. I just want to make sure that anything that happens in the next few days, we're all clear. We're scheduling a meeting for 3 o'clock before the town meeting. I don't think we're gonna need 3 o'clock, but we just plan it now and then we can cut it back.
Okay.
Okay? Any complaints, concerns? Okay.
I suppose I already know the answer to the question, but they didn't change the time of town meeting now that they nixed all the zoning.
Can't, because we had to post
Sorry,
it.
bylaw stuff.
Already been announced.
The minute you post it, you're stuck. So it's 4 o'clock. The good news is, we'll be done,
We'll be done early.
hopefully.
Well, earlier than we would have been.
Okay, I would entertain a motion, Darren.
I make a motion to adjourn, please.
Second.
Okay, Lynn,
Winika, aye.
Darren,
Ross, aye.
Charlotte, aye.
Well, aye.
Priscilla.
Narwhal, aye. All right, guys, thanks a lot.